All right, so hello, my name is Botan Nemeth. I'm executive producer at Gameforge, and I help integrating new games and launch them in the Western Hemisphere.
We're here for Kingdom Under Fire 2. Let's start by talking about the switch from free-to-play to paid and what that has opened up for this game.
All right, so we made this change following the launches in the other territories before, where the game was online, and we took the data from those territories and saw that we need to change the business model in order to offer the best gaming experience to our players. Meaning, there in the other territories there was certain content, like certain troops that were really cool and you wanted to play them, but they were locked behind a paywall. Here with the buy-to-play model for the Western Hemisphere, we're fully opening up the game to everyone who purchases the game once, and then he or she can experience it, the full-on content without any downside.
Let's jump into the actual content, because there's a lot in this game. You guys have been developing it for about 12 years. It's like $80 million invested. What's the result of all that?
So massive battles, huge amount of troops, the 5 classes that are very diverse to play with, endless amount of skills, combination, customization, all the different features that are in the game. You got auction houses, you got guilds, you got raids, 8-man raids, 4-man raids, PvP, 1 versus 1, 3 versus 3, where you can either play alone with your hero or take your own army with you and battle it out against other opponents. It's a full-blown experience.
Can you talk about this game's unique approach with blending RTS with MMO RPG elements?
Absolutely. So this was also the hardest part, and a significant amount of money went into making sure that the hybrid of RTS and RPG, MMORPG, works nicely. That means that the developers at Blue Side had to make sure that at any given moment, players are not confused or maybe overwhelmed, and they always understand what to do, and that it also feels good to players that might or might not have played RTSs before, or maybe are unfamiliar with the genre. The game does a very good job in inviting players from everywhere, even if you are not really the type of guy to play RPGs or RTSs. The combination created something unique, a unique genre, and unique take on the MMO aspect, and we believe that there should be more than enough players outside that will enjoy this stuff.
When you're coming at this game from one of those two genres as a fan, how do you walk them through the one they're not familiar with necessarily?
So the game starts off very, very nicely. So there's a massive battle here again, where you only control your hero at the beginning, which focuses, so that part then focuses more on the MMORPG part, with a great story behind it. It's super immersive, there's explosions everywhere, huge monsters. After a while, it actually introduces slowly the first couple of troops. So this is the RTS part, where you suddenly not just control your hero, but also have to control a couple of troops from this zoomed out real-time strategy perspective. And as you progress through a game, you will jump back and forth between those two views, so the third-person MMORPG view and then the RTS view. And eventually you will end up in missions, and that's the majority of missions, where you will then control both the hero and the troops, and you can flawlessly jump in and out between the two different game modes with a single click on the keyboard. You zoom in, you're right in the action, you eradicate your foes with your hero, and then you jump out again and then give your bowmans or your casters or your paladins orders in order to heal the other troops or cast powerful spells onto enemies. And it actually works really nicely.
Can you talk a little about leveling up, because now we're not only dealing with heroes, we're also dealing with troops, and how much customization there is for people that really dive into this game?
So if you're just talking about the hero itself that you're controlling, there are 30 levels to unlock. Each level will give you unique skills that you can then equip into your skill bar, and then once you mastered it, there's also mastery skills that actually serve as further optimization for your character, customization for your character, meaning you can change also once you hit max level and you unlock everything, the way you play, kind of like give it a different final move set for your character, and that just makes it diverse. So even if you have someone controls one hero and another player controls the same hero, there can be differences between those. Then you can unlock gear, you can craft the gear, you can upgrade the different gear that you have. And then the same applies to troops. So you can not just unlock new troops and level them to 30, you additionally have so-called 5 different ranks that you can unlock by finding upgrading materials. So those you infuse into one troop that you acquired. So you give them more power. You literally raise the maximum cap of hit points, damage, whatever they can do. And then there are also rarities to those. At the beginning you will start off with common troops. That's known from other MMOs that is usually applied to items, right? So in this case, the troops have rarities. You get common rarities, rare, and hero. And the higher ones just have the ability to acquire more powerful and more unique skills that you can then use on the battlefield. 80 troops, and if you combine everything together, it's a massive amount of gameplay that you can experience as a player.
You just mentioned Battlefield. Can you give us a sense of some of the different play environments that people will be exploring as they explore the world?
So we're starting off before this bigger castle that is attacked, which is literally a small little city that you have to defend. Then we have deserts, we have swamps, we have snowfields, there are poisonous areas. Another big thing that plays a role is the weather. Sometimes, in order to add some mood to it, if the story goes nicely to it, you will experience rain, snowfall, and the mix and matching of these things always create a unique experience.
So we have launch. Can you talk a little about what's next when it comes to new content?
Okay, so today we revealed the new class that we are working on. She's the Dark Sorceress. She is an evil, powerful mage sorceress who uses cold and dark skills in order to defeat her foes. We had further discussions on when the right timing for that would be to launch, but sadly I cannot go too much into detail as we still have to figure out how exactly players will react to the current classes and then make adjustments to the new one. But what we do know, what is going to be next, is the 16-player raid. This is the first time that players can experience it. So you team up with 15 other players using the matchmaking system, or you take your friends into the battle, and then you go through this big dungeon. You solve riddles, you have to find out the right tactics in order to go through the dungeon, hopefully summon the dragon boss at the end, and then fight this massive battle with this huge dragon that, if you manage to defeat it, you will get even more cooler stuff. New gear, new troops, and everything together will prepare you for the next content update that we are also already preparing.
And I'd be remiss to not mention that we are in a castle right now, and I wanted to get your thoughts on what it's like to have this kind of event where people are literally playing your video game in a castle outside of Frankfurt, Germany.
Yeah, so cold at this time. It's what is it? 5 p.m. here, and it got really cold. And I'm wondering, how did people live in castles back then? So we put up a heater here. It's still very cold. But no, the event itself, I hope that people are enjoying it. I believe it fits super nicely to the game itself, just because it also takes place in a similar setting. So that's very cool. And when I wander around, we have different mini games that players can do, real life mini games. That I believe give a very different approach to media events like this. I hope, no, actually did hear that the streaming area with the different PCs is also quite cool. So back to the roots, it feels exactly like it was back then.